Today I'm covering the history of the first-gen Grand Cherokee ZJ. Often overshadowed by its counterpart, the standard XJ Cherokee, the ZJ was originally meant to replace both the XJ and the outdated Wagoneer. In fact, at one point, for a very short time, it was even supposed to replace the Ram Charger. However, that never happened, and the Durango ended up filling that role in 1998. It never replaced the XJ either, as that was made available alongside the Grand Cherokee until 2001, actually outliving the ZJ, which was ditched in 98 for the WJ redesign. The ZJ was the first to offer many options, placing it a step ahead in its category. It was truly a big player in the SUV market at its debut. It was offering features and options that just were not available in a Ford Explorer or a Chevy S10 Blazer at the time. A concept was released in 1989 known as just the Jeep Concept 1. It was very close to the ZJ we would end up seeing. Designed under AMC ownership at the beginning, Chrysler took the torch in 1992 and continued with the Grand Cherokee's design and development. Step back a little bit, briefly played around with the Dodge ZJ prototype. It was very similar to Design Concept 1, just with a Dodge spin on cosmetics. Very weird looking model. This kind of reminded me of a Isuzu Rodeo the first time I saw it. But you still get that hood line of the ZJ. You can still really tell it's a ZJ. Anyways, weird, that didn't last long, it was cancelled, but the Grand Cherokee ZJ prevailed. It then had its debut at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit of January of 1992. Robert Lutz drove one from the Jefferson factory to Cobo Hall, where the then mayor of Detroit, Coleman Young, also rode along as they drove it up the lobby steps and crashed through a plate window. This was a 10 out of 10 reveal. People loved it. Like, how badass is this reveal? You don't see a lot of hyped up model reveals like this nowadays. It was a big deal. After this reveal, the 1993 model year was now available for purchase. The original trim options were Base, Laredo, and Limited. The Base got the cloth seats, manual transmission, and that then became an SE in 1994. However, the SE, the original SE model, experienced very low sales as the price difference compared to like a Laredo was very slim. There was no reason to not buy the Laredo. So that caused the SE to be axed pretty quickly. Discontinued the same year it was named the SE in 1994. The Laredo and Limited models carried on, offering impressive standard options for the SUV market. As mentioned before, it set it far apart from its competitors. The options were things like standard ABS, driver side steering wheel airbag, power locks, power windows. All these things seem like very simple options now, but it was a big deal back then to be standard. Upgrading to a Limited got you leather seats standard, sunroof, heated seats, heated mirrors, and a keyless entry fob system. An EVIC, or Electronic Vehicle Information Center, was available, monitoring doors, hood, your trunk when it was open or shut, coolant level, oil life, and a bulb monitoring system in case something burnt out. It also showed the current time and date. Along with this information center was an overhead console, and that displayed a compass, MPGs, elapsed time, 2 trips, and exterior temperature. This also provided a specialized garage door opener spot and storage for 2 pairs of sunglasses. A personal favorite feature of mine is the illuminated ignition barrel. That's to guide you at night to where to put the key. I really liked those. It added to the aesthetic of the green 90s interior. An upgraded sound system was also made by Infiniti, packing a 120 watt amp hidden under the rear seat. In 1996, there was an interior switch that took place, along with also getting OBD2 compatibility. The inside got a complete redesign. I like both these interiors quite a lot, but the 96 switch took away from a lot of the square and hard edges of the dash, making it look a little more modern, a little less dated. The door cards were redesigned and some fabric changes were made. There were some special editions available, like the TSI, Orvis, Grand Wagoneer, Special Edition, the Ultimate Package, and the 5.9 Limited being a super rare package. Was only available on the last year, 1998, and less than 15,000 of these were produced out of the 250,000 Grand Cherokees that final year. The TSI was the sporty model, offered from 1997 through 1998. While it was a cool package, not much was really sporty about it. With the TSI, you got the sport alloy wheels, blue trim accents. It was loaded with leather in the premium audio package. It was a relatively unpopular trim and did not sell well. However, as I mentioned, spotting them easily, I've spotted quite a few of these in the wild or in U-Pull yards or in junkyards. That blue trim makes it very easy to spot along with a TSI badge. The wheels are also TSI specific. The Orvis edition was offered from 1995 to 1997. This trim was only offered in 2 colors, moss green pearl and light driftwood pearl. A very unique green and beige seat design was part of the Orvis, along with matching door panel accents, floor mats, that sort of thing. Luxury alloy wheels were included, along with a spare tire cover with some storage pockets. The 5.9 was the ultimate package throughout this model's entire timeline. As mentioned previously, very few of these were made compared to the total production numbers that year or even just in general. If you see one of these for a good price, go buy it. The 5.9 Limited gave you the Magnum 360 with a power boost compared to the 318. The 5.9 made 245 brake horsepower and 345 pound-feet of torque, propelling this 90s cladded monster to an impressive 7.30 to 60. But according to Motor Trend, they got away with a time of 6.8. I guess you could say this was the first sort of SRT Jeep, if you will. For what this thing was, it really was no slouch. It's pretty cool. The 5.9s are relatively easy to spot and had several improvements. The interior was unique to the 5.9 only, all the way throughout. Custom door cards, full calf nap leather used throughout everything, rear armrest. It was a sweet model on the interior. The hood got 5.9 specific louvers, and the clutch fan was ditched in favor of an electric fan. Next, I want to cover the engine options and the transmission combos in the ZJ. Starting with the first model in 1993, the classic 4-liter AMC Straight 6 was offered alongside a Magnum Series 318 V8. From 1995 to 1998, there was an option for export models to receive a 2.5-liter diesel, obviously which we would have not seen here in the States, but also very cool. The transmissions were all in the RE, RH family besides the AW4, only offered 1 year, first year only. The only manual the ZJ ever got was the AX15, and that was for a very short time period. From 93 to 95, the 5.2 V8 used a 46 RH. Throughout the model years, the V8 used a various amount of transmissions in that same family, 44 RE, 46 RH, and as far as transfer cases go, there was a few versions available in these models. Command track was available, so known as the 231J. Next would be a NP242 offering full-time 4-wheel drive, and finally the NP249, which was a viscous coupler full-time case with no 2-wheel drive selection. I believe you could only get a V8 with the 249. I don't know if I'm entirely correct on that, but it's pretty common for you to get a V8, and one of the first things you need to do is pull out that 249. The 249 has some issues, and at the time it was really cool and impressive with the viscous coupler and sending power to each wheel, but as time went on, did not treat those cases well. The viscous coupler wore out super quick. It makes it really frustrating or near impossible for tight turns. Down the line, this just became issues. It's very popular to pull these 249s out immediately and throw in a 231 or a 242, as you can go to U-Pull and get one out of an XJ or a ZJ. It just doesn't make sense to fix the 249s and retain the full-time, as the viscous couplers are just so expensive. You're better off switching. The other big deal of the ZJ was coil springs. This was a huge deal. The XJ leaf spring setup was not seen in the Grand Cherokee. Instead, the Quadrolink design was introduced. That was used front and rear, with upper and lower control arms. This was a welcome change. This really set the ride quality apart from the XJ. Driving both of these is fun to experience the difference and kind of what they were originally aiming for. They really did nail it. This was the first Jeep to get a coil spring setup, and it absolutely paved the way and set a new standard with the switch from the long outdated leaf spring setup on the XJs, while still providing the ruggedness you would want out of a Jeep suspension. This alone makes me love the ZJ more than the XJ, as it really was that big of an improvement, and the TJ Wrangler eventually got the same treatment. But you drive these things on the road, an XJ and ZJ side by side, just rides amazing. Rides like a cloud compared to leaf springs. Current day, where are these models? Well, they're everywhere and they're cheap. No one wants these things. Everyone wants an XJ. The ZJ is a wonderful option in current day to build the ultimate cheap Jeep. They really do seem to be less popular than the XJ, and an absolute mint example can be found for really affordable prices. As always, the parts are dirt cheap, and it's hard to find something more DIY friendly than either an XJ or a ZJ. I had one of these, and I actually prefer it over my current, more modern Wrangler JK. In fact, I wish I could undo that whole upgrade. That SUV was great, had such an effect on me. I loved my 97 Laredo with a V8. It was just a solid 90s SUV that loved life, loved rev limiter, and it took abuse like no other. If you haven't had one and you could swing it, I suggest you do yourself a favor and go pick up a dirt cheap Jeep ZJ, and you will not regret it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks so much for listening to me nerd out. If you're interested, I have a Wrangler JK video where I went into depth. I didn't see too many people really doing videos on a JK, so that was my first video, so go check that out. Otherwise, have a great night.